Smart24, driving business.
We'll be back from the break, and you're still watching Smart Means Business. And for the investors and young-minded innovators, and of course, people who are interested into the world of investment, well, Zabu is making it very possible for you to kickstart off your investment. Star 292 hash is the USSD code that you need to use to kickstart off your investment and be able to grow with the platform. Zabo is powered by Altex East Africa, making it very possible for you to kickstart off your investment journey. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, all you need to do is to be part of the ever-growing world of investment. Zabo, my money, my future. Altex East Africa says do something new. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Besides that, you can be part of the ever-evolving world with Altex East Africa, which says do something new. And now we're off to our business insights this morning. And there's a very huge growing concern. Ever since we headed into the COVID-19 pandemic, 2020, companies had to, minimize on the cost of doing business because they had to maintain a few workers or employees to ensure that they can recover after that time they lost during COVID. 2021, 2022 has seen quite a number of private companies lay off workers, cut off employees, terminate contracts, all because they want to maintain their businesses and remain with efficient workers. After COVID-19, now jobs are looking for people. Rather, bosses and companies are looking for people who can do three roles that were ideally broken down back in the time. So you need to be more of someone who can do three tasks in a company. Very you have to multitask in order to remain useful and important to any given company because of the fact that businesses lately are not making a lot of money. And so companies have to minimize on their costs of doing business, and it's pinching us in Africa.
And actually, majority of people are scared, and I don't know, depending on whether people really see what's happening around the world, it puts you to a place of getting scared. But also, it should be an eye-opener, most especially to Uganda. You see, Joram, if you compare the number of students that graduate today on a yearly basis, and you compare it way back in the times, realize even what people were holding on to the hope, getting a degree. Currently, the value of a degree in 2023 is not as the value of a degree in 2000, let me say. You know, it's totally changing. And, looking at all these layoffs, people being, unemployed, people having this impact of fear for unemployment, it all comes back with what the perception, this thing of I'm going to school to get a job. Why don't you go to school to look for a solution to help the society? In that way, you'll be creating employment, when you open that business. And I think that should be an eye-opener to Ugandans. And even I believe in the clip the discussion we're going to have, that is, students are being urged to have a different mindset. When you change your mindset, you won't even be afraid of probably maybe being laid off or something because you have another version of that idea.
Well, of course, when we continue to look at some of these particular incidents in the country, it is causing a very huge point of concern, I should say. And the concern is relatively focusing on quite a number of things. First is what happens after someone has been laid off. What next? You have no contract, you've been used to this lifestyle of having a job or anything. This is where of course, the mental wealth awareness needs to be highly invested in as a country, because first of all, a person tends to go into depression. You're into, that age where you've started getting into a world where you have to think about your retirement. For example, you are a father, you're a mother, you have children, look at the school fees, you have no job and everything.
Exactly.
There's a very huge concern in regards to the kind of layoffs in the public sector, in the private sector rather, and it's something that we need to deeply understand, because by the look of things, it is something that we need to be worried about. But obviously, President Museveni did reveal that at least there will be
70 million jobs.
70 million jobs
By the PDM.
Through the PDM model. So we shall wait and see how possible that would be. But in our Business Insight first here, we do have Honorable James Kakoza, Uganda's representative to the East African Legislative Assembly, giving us his side of the view in regards to what he believes have led to the massive layoffs in the private sector. Afterwards, we shall be returning to have a glimpse of the global scale. How has it been, and how has the layoffs affected the employees? Let's have more of this one.
The trend of economic environment is changing seriously. That anybody within this environment, he must reduce the cost input in any business. Two, the digital world also has made a very big change in reduction of human resource in companies, because one person can afford to do a job of 3 people by using computer systems and online things, sort of things like, as you know. So we are going to a digital world that it reduces the number of people you can employ in the company. Third, which I think that really, the business itself, the way how businessmen are calculating their business, they are trying to maximize their profits by reducing the cost. So there is no need of employing a huge number where you know that your return on investment is very low. So the best way is you reduce the cost, the output, the profits. So you have to deal with the change within the environment, and you cannot resist it. So any environment which is happening within the world now, in economics, you must be very sharp to exist within the environment, and you break even. Otherwise, if you don't calculate well, some companies have collapsed seriously. After COVID, some companies are not taking off because of the reasons which you know. So it's making people to become sharper and sharper when they are dealing in business. It's no longer business as usual. No. The President is saying that we should engage ourselves in areas of production. If you're engaging yourself in areas of production, like he says in value addition, you have less a simple thing in dairy farming now, or in agriculture sector, where you have much yield of production now. You need human resource, whereby those skills are wanted, and even where you need an employee. If you've been employing 10 and your company extends to a large extent, you need more human resource, whereby you don't need physical people to work in the industries. Because if you are engaging in 2 industries, there is work which is done physically by the people. So that one helps to to increase on job opportunities. But if you are dealing with service industry, you can go for digital world. But for production, especially when you're investing in agriculture, you need that human resource. The more you expand, the more you need people to work on your farm or your industry, where you need parking of goods. So you need that human resource, because that one you cannot go on online. No, you need people to transport even your goods somewhere, somehow, from the factory to the center. So these are serious issues that really we need to change, that once everybody is engaged in production, I think we can create more jobs than before. Because when you look at the industries we have, I don't think are enough depending on the natural resources we have. When you look at the employment side, how many people are involved in commercial farming? They are really very few. Even in subsistence, some people are in subsistence, but others don't do. When you compare the ratio of people who are involved in commercial farming and those who are not involved, even if in subsistence farming, people who are involved in agriculture are not many. No, some people now, I don't think that the ratio can add up to those people who are not working. Let's look at the border, the service industry. How many people on border, if those people can engage themselves, that human resource, every morning somebody goes to a garden, how much can we produce? If every person on the border, by the time he goes early morning to work, he gets involved in some money work at home or in a garden, how much can it be produced? This is where the president is saying, please, as much as you are thinking of riding a border, get some time, go in a garden, 2 acres or 3 acres, you get involved in that work, you produce watermelon, you produce onions, cabbage, Irish potato, you'll earn more. Rather than early morning, you're on a border, up to the midnight, you find that you waste a lot of time. I mean a lot of resource in that business than getting involved physically in farming. So I think that's what the president is trying to sensitize the public, that at least everyone should get into production. Whatever you can do it. The mindset of our people who are graduating today, they still think that white-collar jobs are enough. Everybody wants to go to work for government, but when you work for government, you are looking for poverty, unless when you are corrupt. Because when you compare the expense yourself per day, comparing to the amount of money you get in these salary scales, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So we should be thinking of self-employment rather than being employed in government. For a case in point, for example, in Uganda, the all police, the officers in prison, army, other civil servants, we are not more than 400,000 people. But the population is 40 million people. You compare, where are jobs going to come from? And if you're offloading 10,000, 20,000 everyday graduates, would the jobs be enough? So the mindset now, we should change. We should think otherwise. We should think of just being self-employed. So graduates, the advice, white-collar jobs are no longer now enough for the population. We should get into private sector, whatever we need to get involved in, and we get to have some incomes in our homes. That's why the president is coming out with different sort of programs to make sure that everybody is getting involved to have an earning, an income, at least in a home.
And well, of course, by the look of things there, is the young people have to step up and make sure that, they push for...
Yeah, have to change the mindset. And this issue of, the layoffs, people losing jobs, is global. It's not just happening. I mean, we've seen even some of the houses that we weren't expecting. We saw CNN where workers were actually cut off, and it was very. Same applies to BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, and coming still down. And Joram, the most surprising thing is that majority of the companies that are laying off workers are tech companies. If we are to look at the global scale, and it's quite a very worrying incident. But like the ministers, the member of parliament has said. Mindset change is a key gateway to ensure a job security. Because if you know that I can do something about it, I'm not limited to what I'm doing right now, but I have something, I have a solution I'm developing somewhere. And now let's take a look at the global trend for the last 2 months. And you're going to be very surprised what has been happening. Of course, it's been going on throughout there. But now let's take a look at what has been happening for the last 2 months. The massive global layoffs. Now, that is March. But we started because if we are to look at from November, the list would be very endless. Netflix there, and we see specified number of layoffs, including that is executive employees. That is 200 employees, or 60% of the workforce. But the ultimate question is here. How come the tech sector has quite massive layoffs? Jeremy, you remember during the COVID-19 pandemic when there was all these aspects saying, you should do your businesses online. We saw massive companies now like Amazon recruited quite a number of people. Actually, there are people that got jobs as much as some people were being laid off during COVID. Some people were hired in the tech companies. So there was quite a huge hiring. But little did they know that actually probably this might offset sometimes. And it also brings me back to be an eye opener to the people out there that the tech sector is just like any other sector, because there is always this aspect we give it, the hype, to make it look like the market is okay. But also remember, when you're hiring these people, however much you're having an online platform,
I know
you have a physical store, you pay rent for that store, you pay for transportation. It's not that I'm going to order the product from online and I get it out of the machine. Somebody has to pay delivery costs. So companies didn't really look into this, and in the long run, as COVID is done, companies are trying to recover. Now what we call side effects. Coming in throughout, costs of production massively increased, and accompanied with the inflation, and now the Russia and Ukraine war just made it worse. Fuel prices increased, and everything just became quite it turned upside down actually for the tech companies.
And when you come to think of it, many workers that were hired during the pandemic were not entry-level employees, but experienced software engineers and developers earning salaries in the 6 figures with generous benefits. Companies are facing too many employees with redundancy and overstaffing, and these companies had high hopes to continue this rate of growth. However, as restrictions lifted, people turned to pre-pandemic lifestyles of where the return to previous work environments. Big tech companies are now removing the extra layer of employees hired during the height of the pandemic. Technology for working from home, such as Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom, are still being used. But with the lower numbers, since every meeting is no longer only online, several workers are returning to the office for collaboration and sharing ideas.
Yeah, and also probably some other reason why you could be asking yourself why these massive layoffs, and most especially in the tech field. Of course, the maturing of the industry, and here we see that the tech layoffs may also be as a result that is of the industry maturing or becoming more stable. That is after the rapid growth. Now, of course, we see that tech companies may not be apace to acquire as many new customers since many people have already adapted that is their services. Of course, instead, tech companies may be looking for beyond growth and into diversifying products and expanding globally. And maybe some other people have also been attributing this to the rising artificial intelligence, which could probably be some of the key cause as to why massive layoffs are really being experienced. But you could be maybe trying to wonder, okay, with this current trend, what should I do about? What should I do to be safe? Where should I invest? It's not about actually where you should invest. The issue is find a solution. Find a problem to the society, to what is really going on, and being able to solve that. I think that is way much more better. Now, for the people into the tech sector, when we look at artificial intelligence, and I know we are going to be having, in Uganda, we are also, to some extent, adjusting to AI, though it's not yet to the developed levels as we really require.
We are adjusting.
We're testing, actually.
The number of Ugandans with ChatGPT accounts lately. I think if ChatGPT starts asking for money for subscribers, I think.
And by the way, it's
everyone
it's
has. We have even colleagues here who have at least an account in their phones.
In their phones.
So, which clearly shows you it's more like someone once said that it is funny now that even gentlemen no longer waste time while trying to vibe women.
To vibe. They got
ChatGPT to generate for him a love poem.
Now, you see,
and things will work out.
Now, you see, with ChatGPT, with the rise of ChatGPT, what people need to understand, because some people, probably some of the employers may not be aware of this, but once this gets viral, people don't know that, because it has made everything now there is no value attached. Somebody got in from the street and they know how to use a computer and they don't know anything about anything. You could be employed in any sector. ChatGPT can give them a guide, and it seems like, okay, AI. But then, I would feel like the bigger picture here is coding AI, programming artificial intelligence, being able to maintain artificial intelligence systems. I think that's where the world is heading, and probably and some other related careers which involve human involvement. Because however much, my worry is that we are going to be having the nation, and with this generation, oh my goodness, I'm thinking you are living senior 6 and you're introduced to ChatGPT.
Immediately,
you're gone. And I'm thinking, what kind of a generation it's going to be like 10 years from now? It's worrying.
I think it takes me back to the fact that maybe our parents were right when they kept phones off us when we were still studying. Exactly.
It's now making sense right now. It's making sense.
And well, of course, for those who are viewers of Smart Means Business, later on in the developments of the show, starting next week, we shall be having our tech updates, and Andrew Berija will be giving you all those details in our tech updates. That will be coming in Mondays and Wednesdays. Exactly, here on Smart Means Business. So maybe later on he will actually give us more of the developments of artificial intelligence. Why are we supposed to worry more about it? So we continue to make sure that we give you information that you need as our viewer. Smart Means Business is what you're watching currently. After the break, we shall be returning with our on-ground discussions. Good morning.